So, what were my EMDR sessions like? When I would sit down in the therapist's office, sometimes I would use a light bar, and lights would travel back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. And I could choose green or red. I want to say there was maybe orange. I can't remember, but I only did green or red. But I am very easily distracted peripherally, so on the sides. And so I would find myself struggling sometimes to follow the lights. So we also utilized, and the majority of the time I utilized, holding paddles in my hand. And so I would hold these two little paddles, about this big in my hand, and they would alternate vibrating in my right hand, left hand. So zzz, 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 zzz. And as I did either the light bar or the paddles, my eyes would go back and forth, similar to how we experience REM sleep. And so when we are in REM sleep, our eyes are moving back and forth and we are processing our day's events. The way I look at it is that I had all of this trauma trapped in me. I had never processed it correctly. I was a child. I didn't know how to process it. And so it was releasing itself in the form of panic attacks. And once I started slowly, again, over a 4-year period, releasing this energy, releasing this trauma and processing it and processing this trauma, I was just completely amazed at how my body started to handle panic symptoms when they would arise. They weren't nearly as intense. Every now and then I would have an intense one hit, but I would again utilize coping skills that I was learning. And it was just such a great combination that was happening at once. Learning coping skills, learning to be comfortable in my own body, processing this trauma. And then I was able to really make some strides down the healing path. So that was my experience with EMDR in a session. And so when I would go in to something, we would pick a trauma. Let's say, the first bank robbery. And I wouldn't direct it. I would just notice what surfaced. It could be a visual memory. It could be a body sensation. A lot of times early on, I felt like my left shoulder, like somebody was squeezing it, and I would have these body memories arise. And that would come in no matter what trauma we were returning into. I felt it a lot, and finally came to realize that it was my dad. My dad had a squeezing grip on my left shoulder, and so my body was trying to release that. And just for an FYI, I came to a place of forgiveness with my dad before he passed, and so I feel very fortunate in that my dad sat me on his lap when he was 10 years old and said, "Teri, I've been going to see a therapist, and I realized I was hitting you out of anger, and I never should have hit you, and I will never hit you again." And he didn't. And that was a very healing moment for our relationship. And then as time progressed. And then my mother, who is 83 years old and knows I'm writing a book and will be talking to people about this and tell people about this journey. She is coming up on 1 year sober in April, and I am so incredibly proud of her. She quit drinking at 82, and it's been a long, long journey. I'm 52, almost 53, so 52 years of my life battling with her and a journey of codependency. And so we have made tremendous healing strides in our relationship, or strides in our relationship as well. And again, I feel very fortunate and very blessed to have reached a place of forgiveness with not only my parents, but all of my perpetrators and the exercises that I've utilized along my way. So, all right. Thanks.